Okay, so I'm excited to talk to this guy, Eugene
Pleasure.
from Eugene from Orion Heating, right? Not Orion, but Orion Heating, right? Um, so the reason why I actually asked you to be a part of this is because in the Toronto market, you're sort of like, let's call it like a legend in the Toronto market,
Oh
right?
wow. Oh
Well,
well.
like you've been around for a long time, you've trained a lot of guys, right? I feel like there's been a lot of guys that have worked with you and have learned from you, and so like take me back to like the beginning of when you started working on boilers, when you started getting into hydronics. What kind of things were you working on? What were you doing?
But most was service first 3 years, 4 years pretty well service. Oil. I got into gas in 89, 90, 89, actually 89. We got into
Yeah,
gas. But before that, for the first 3 years, it was all oil. And then
oil.
we got a gas and installations. But pretty well right from the beginning, from '86, I was introduced to boilers, cleaning them, servicing them, and controlling them. The learning all about why there's condensation, why we're losing all the money up the chimney, and the reason how you pump it, and why you pump it, how you control the heat within the
Yeah,
boiler and within the chimney, and why the chimneys are blowing apart, and all that stuff. So
yeah,
because I was introduced into that stuff, I realized quite early, what's happening to the chimneys, what's happening to the boilers, why they're rotting out, and how to control them, I got very soon, very in the early stages, got into the some kind of instructions and seminars, and John Goshalik was probably one of the first one when he was with Mastec.
yeah,
Back in the early '90s, I believe, and I went through his seminars and learning about the pumping and controlling
yeah,
and what it's all about, and how the old boys couldn't understand why, where to put it, how to position the pumps, and how to work with the boilers.
yeah. So what was it like back then, like in those mechanical rooms? Like
They were ugly
what
and
was it
dirty.
like?
They were ugly and dirty.
Yeah, not pretty with like checkerboard like it is
No,
today,
no,
right?
no, no checkerboards, and they were pretty absolutely huge, ugly, and dirty. That's for
Yeah,
sure. At the end of the day, when I was coming home, I was pretty unrecognizable.
yeah, just filthy, right?
Oh my God. Some jobs that came out, it was just, I gotta send you a picture. I just did a boiler in an apartment building, was all fitted up. How I came out of it when I showed my kids last week. They looked at it and said, "Oh my God, who's this?"
Yeah,
So,
that's
so,
great.
so it's not a pleasant thing to be to happen in a boiler.
No. So what do you think about like what the industry is like today with the high efficient condensing boilers, all these boilers stuck on the wall, nice clean mechanical rooms? I get you like it a little bit more?
I loved playing with the pipes. I playing controls. I remember when we started with Caliber in '94, '95, '96, when I was building all my own controls.
Oh yeah.
You would have 10, 15, 20 relays on the walls, and all the pumps and the controls. Everything was homemade and handmade, and it
Yeah.
was and now we got all those Takeo and or Tecmo controls, and everything's kind of taken away from so it's simpler for the
Yeah.
followers to come, because if you build your own, then it's very few that will touch it afterwards. But
Yeah.
right now it's easier for the followers to play with. So
Yeah.
it is something to when you take a picture, worth taking a picture, looking into it. But still, there's a lot of guys that do. It doesn't matter what it is. I think it's this right now with the plastic. This this world getting absolutely ugly because there's no rules. A lot of
Yeah.
guys don't rules. Too many plumbers are touching something they weren't supposed to touch, and broken rules, ugly, very very. A lot of people get hurt. They
Yeah.
still boilers have to be. They're very unforgiving.
No.
Sometimes they're forgiving. You can play with them, but I'm saying they're very unforgiving, and a lot of guys make a lot of mess.
Yeah. 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 And you like over the years you've trained. I've spoken to so many guys that you've worked with and you've trained, and everyone says you got to talk to Eugene because he's the guy that trained me and taught me how to do it. So
Every guy that I've trained is pretty successful in a business, probably more successful than I am as making money or moving forward and doing things because they're more aggressive maybe than I was.
yeah,
I spent too much time on those little details and ends and make it pretty and make it good and the honest
yeah.
part.
So like HVAC is a pretty broad subject. Is hydronics
Very
is hydronics your favorite part of HVAC, or is there any sort of other specialty that you like focusing on?
it's the package. The house when I go to the custom homes, it's the package.
It's the package, yeah?
Yes, I would say hydronics is it's more intricate, but it's forced air is as important. If you don't
Yeah,
do it properly, don't do ventilation properly, then nothing. Even if you add in hydronics, it's
yeah,
still like but hydronics on its own these days in a house cannot exist.
right.
People don't realize how important it is to ventilate and humidify the house. They
Yeah.
think we're gonna go hydronics because it's in the floor. You don't need humidifiers. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, we use a lot of wood in Canada, and it's as important as if not equally.
Yeah. What's like your favorite site that you've worked on that you can remember, or house or building or anything like that? You have one particular that you think about?
The first job, the biggest job I've done with Caliber, I built it for Caliber. It was a sanctuary, the retreat. They call it retreat, Catholic retreat on Aurora Road, Bayview
Yeah.
and Aurora.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was late '90s, early 2000, and it was at that point we used groundwater for the ventilation, and the whole place was all radiant. We had a radiant cooling, radiant, and we had enthalpy wheels for the ERVs, and me and the guy that I was on a job, we pretty well I was introduced to the drawing,
Yeah.
and he says the guy just told me what he wants, and we met a couple of there was a commercial company doing plumbing, and
Hmm.
they laughed when they saw the drawings. They laughed at both because we were both. I was in the early 30s. The other guy was in the 20s.
Yeah.
They got to the job. It took us a month. Two guys for a whole month. We're piping on the wall. Okay,
Really?
a whole month in one room. We were piping it up. And when they met us, they were laughing at us. 3 weeks later, they walked into the job and they dropped the jaws. They could not believe what we've created on the wall.
Really?
Like it was so intense. After 2 weeks, I mean, after the whole month of piping up, the guy that was working with me, ran away on me. He
Yeah.
didn't want to touch nothing with the wiring. He said, "You're too crazy. I will not touch nothing." But it took me 2 weeks in that room to wire up everything to the point,
Yeah, really?
and it was absolutely an art. And it ended up to be something spectacular. I used to have pictures, and hopefully I'm gonna get a hold of them one more time. And
Yeah.
if I will, I'll be pleased to hang them over. It was an absolute thing that we've done in those days.
Wow, that's impressive. That's great.
So it was something to remember because the whole management came in, they took the pictures, and it was showpiece. And thank God we had there was a retired Honeywell guy that they had in maintenance, and he was maintaining the whole place. But it was absolutely blown away. They were all blown away.
So where do you see the industry going now? I mean, you've seen so much progression. Where do you see it going next, or what do you see happening with the new generation coming up and new installers?
I hope finally, I hope the industry will grab some kind of control of it. So 30 years since mid '90s, '95, when I was early '90s, when I was going to seminars, they promised they're going to adopt some kind of codes of
Hmm.
hydronics and ethics, and so to make some sense out of it. Right
Yeah.
now, these days, the business ended up to be paid by the foot. You know, when you do a driveway, you count it. You go by the foot. When you do a basement, a radiant in a house, everybody goes by the foot, and they think that's all they see. They don't see how to do it, what's right, what's wrong, and to know, it's just they go by the foot and how much money they're gonna make. And then once they run, okay, inspectors don't inspect because nobody to inspect. They don't understand this. Nobody understands nothing. You can't do nothing when it's up to.
It's like a very gray area. Like hydronics is very gray. Like it doesn't fall into this category, it doesn't fall into that category, so no one really knows what to do or how to manage it, right?
How to manage it? Well, they said, but everybody folded because the plumbing side of the business doesn't want to let it go. Why wouldn't they adopt the BC codes in the 90s? They said they're going to have their own. We're in the early 2020, and we still don't have a code.
Right.
Hydronics and inspecting, TSSA destroyed everything. They destroyed it. They don't know what they're doing. They can't control it. They don't understand it. They're there for the money. They're private industry. They're there for the money. They absolutely nobody. There's no control whatsoever.
Right.
Inspectors out. Everybody washes out. A lot of guys are getting hurt because I'm saying a lot of plumbers go into the jobs, not knowing what they're doing, just because they think they can do a pretty picture on the wall with a copper pipe sometimes, and it's not true. It's not true.
Yeah. And so what would you have to say to like the new installers coming into the trade? Is there any particular route they should take? Is there any like education they should be getting?
That's right. Go through a course of piping to understand the piping schematics and what you can allow, what are you allowed, what you're not allowed.
Yeah.
Because that's the most important, I would say. That's the most important for the boilers and for the system to work properly. How you control it, you can spend God knows what on the controls.
Yeah.
Guys don't understand that they have to spend the time, spend like your places, see the boilers, understand this, and how to pipe it with the options of being what to do with it.
Right.
Understand there's concept is one thing, but you still have to understand why you're doing what you do.
Yeah. And how long, like, do you have any young guys working with you now?
Yes, I work with two plumbing companies, and I probably had on my wing six guys, and three of them came up really pretty good boys.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
As you're teaching them.
I've taught them quite well, and they've made a lot of money. So and they ended up to be a big company. So Hydronics ended up to be their, I would say, 50-60% bread.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, that was something I was going to ask you. It's like you're of European descent, right? So what kind of stuff have you seen? I mean, there's been a ton of stuff that's come over here, but is there anything in particular that you appreciate the most or that you want to see more of coming over here?
I wouldn't say that they do something more better than we do, and they do mechanical rooms in plastic.
In plastic, yeah.
My brother just had a mechanical room done in Poland, and it was done all in plastic. So they do fusion. They do fusion, and it's all plastic. It's either CPVC or whatever they do all the way to the radiators. Everything's plastic.
And then you think that's coming here?
I hope not. I hate plastic.
Yeah.
Because I cannot recycle it. I hate mechanical rooms in plastic because I think it's after a while you can't do nothing with it. And metal is metal, and I'm a strong believer with that. And even you can do wonders with a black pipe.
Right.
About mechanical rooms, I think putting it in a floor as a plastic is one thing because there's no option.
Right.
But you cannot recycle it.
Right.
Yes, sometimes feasibility when you go into 4-inch headers and whatever it is. Yes, you could probably do. You can do quite a bit of things coming out of the plastic and make some sense out of it. But technically, you can equally do beautiful thing and more to last long. And if you control it properly, everything is, for there to for 50, 100 years to stay.
Okay, so the last thing that I'll ask you, and it's because I work for Aqua-Tech, and Aqua-Tech is a rep for Lochinvar. What
Mhm.
experience have you had with Lochinvar boilers? Hmm.
Um, uh, Lochinvar's, the ones I've done at the nights, and beautiful. I've got no problem whatsoever. No problem whatsoever.
That's
It was
good.
quite friendly to work with, and you know what? I had no. I cannot give you a bad name to it. I really appreciated it. It was, and what I like about the outfit, your guys' outfit, that you're very what do you call this, level-headed, and know your stuff. You know your stuff, and you know your product, and it's nice to work with people that you keep when you call, you get an answer.
So that's pretty much it. I mean, we run for about 20 minutes. We want to do about 15 minutes. So I
Beautiful.
appreciate you taking the time and entertaining me for a little bit.
Pleasure. My pleasure. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing.
All right, great.
Thanks for the call, and hopefully we'll see you soon. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, definitely.